Hi, Rosie. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. Juxtaposition of your very soul. First off, thank you very much for saying yes to be interviewed today. And it's actually such an honor to have a veteran from the corporate world who is a woman, because I myself am still working 9 to 5 besides doing this podcast. So I think there's a lot for people like me to learn from experts such as yourself. So thank you. Also, my ritual. I'd like to give our listeners today a bit of introduction of my guest before we dive into the business.
Sounds good.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna repurpose. I'm gonna use the things that you have actually prepared in Podmatch. I think they're really good. So okay, so hi listeners, we have Rosie Zilinskas. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes.
Okay, today with us. So, if you are a corporate woman feeling stuck in your career, this episode is for you. Our guest today, Rosie, is a 30-year corporate veteran, is here to reveal powerful principles to help you unlock your leadership potential and advance in your career. Rosie's mission is clear: eradicate the gender gap by empowering women in their careers. So, Rosie, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nicolette, for having me. I do have a passion to help women move up the corporate ladder, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. So let's take down memory lane for a while. So what was it like growing up as Rosie Zilinskas?
Well, there was a lot of uncertainty growing up. I had two loving parents, but I'm 100% Mexican. My parents were born and raised in Mexico. Ooh. Yes, I know. Wow. I don't look Mexican. Yeah. I'm very light complected. Yes.
I thought that, I don't want to offend people by saying, because you said, because one of your questions was like, how do you navigate between Mexico and United States? And I'm like,
Yes, okay. Exactly. Well, so my last name is Zilinskas. It is a Lithuanian married name. So my husband is Lithuanian, but right. my maiden name is Piña, which is pineapple in Spanish.
Yeah, piña colada.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So my dad moved us from Mexico to the United States several times, every like 4 or 5 years while I was growing up. So there was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of leaving friends behind, leaving a whole culture behind. And just to give you a little glimpse of what it was growing up, the first day of high school, I had just lived in Mexico for 5 years. My dad's like, we're leaving Mexico. We're going back to the United States. And he had his business reasons for doing that. And first day of high school, I knew how to speak English because I had been in the United States when I was in kindergarten through 3rd grade the first time around. So I knew English, but it wasn't my first language. Spanish was my first language at that time. And I walked in and everybody's like congratulating the class of 1987. And I had no idea what that meant. And then I saw a girl wearing a T-shirt, and it was a Huey Lewis and the News T-shirt, the band. And I asked her, I said, "What's Huey Lewis and the News?" And she's like, oh, "It's a band." And then I started watching MTV because I'm like, I need to become informed. So there was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear of the unknown. Every time we moved back and forth, I would just be getting comfortable in school, and my dad's like, "Oh, we're moving back." Or, oh, we're moving back. So,
but when you're in the rhythm of it, and then there's another change.
Yes. But what that did is it made me resilient and it made me resourceful. So the last time that I moved to Chicago, because I've been here now since I was 19 years old, I decided that I wasn't going to move anymore. So my whole family is now here. We've all kind of established ourselves in Chicago, but that whole experience growing up was good because it gave me a worldview of two completely different cultures, and I'm very grateful for that experience. But there were a lot of tears and a lot of fears growing up, when we were doing those transitions.
Saying goodbye to friends, saying goodbye to family members. So do you have family back in Mexico as well? Still?
Yes, we do. We have family in Mexico still. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, interesting. Because I haven't. I'm actually from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. So I've never been to Mexico. I would love to, and also the US. I haven't been. So okay, since you said it's different, right? How is it different? Can you share with me? This is me. This is me. Being curious.
Well, living in Mexico was, I think, my foundation because I started there. I was born in Chicago, and then immediately we went to Mexico, and I was there
Right.
till I
Okay.
was 5 years old. So I didn't know English at all until I was 5. My dad decided to move to Chicago when I was in kindergarten, and they put me in this class of, English as a second language. And it was such a struggle because I knew nothing about the language. I didn't know English. But what's amazing is that within 6 months, and I had at the time, so I was 5, and I had two older sisters that were 8 and I think 11 at the time. And within 6 months, and none of us knew English. And within 6 months, we all were speaking fluent English because we were immersed. Back then, there wasn't a ton of like Spanish channels or TV or anything like that.
Right.
So
And
we
you had
had
to.
no choice.
Yeah, you had no choice.
Had no choice. We had to learn. But I think the difference is when I was in Mexico, the culture is just so welcoming and it's so warm, it's so inviting, and everybody's your friend.
Community based, right? Yeah,
Yes,
that I mean that's what
yes.
they portray in the in television. So
Yes. And then in the United States, people are more reserved. Now, granted, once
mm,
you're in someone's community, then they welcome you.
you're
But in
accepted.
Mexico, you don't need to know people to be like, come on over, let's have
Let's go.
Spanish.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think culturally that is very different.
Right. Interesting. Okay, so let's talk about your career journey. Could you share with us your 30-year career journey so far? Which industry or industries were you in previously?
I have been in the property and casualty insurance industry from the moment I graduated the University of Illinois, which was back in 19, and I just left the corporate space in September of last year. So 31-year career, all in property and casualty insurance. And
Wow.
I have to say the industry is amazing. It's incredible. There's a million opportunities for people that are interested in that. But one of the things that made me want to continue to pursue the next step is uh, when I was younger and I would come home and I would give my dad a report card, I would be like, "Hey, Dad, I got an A," and he's like, "Why didn't you get an A plus?" In a very good manner, like he's trying to push me.
He
So
meant
it was
well.
always like,
Mm,
yes,
yeah.
yes, but at the same time, it was like, okay, I need to do more. I need to do more. I need to do better. And I realized that that's just my innate way of being. I'm an extremely motivated person, and every 3 years or so, I'm like, okay, what's next? What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? Because I feel I have uh, maybe not necessarily mastered, but accomplished everything that I needed to accomplish in that particular job that I was in. And so that's just been my driving force, and a lot of it is my dad in my head still to this day, like, what's next? And a couple of times I'd get a promotion, he's like, did you ask for a raise? Or if I get a raise, why didn't you ask for
Same,
more?
same.
So
It's the same
yeah.
here in Asia. My
Yeah.
dad is harp is harping at me every time. Like, okay, you've been at this position for a while. Is it taking you anywhere?
Yeah.
But I like it here. I'm tired of moving. You
Yes,
sure?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, so we're not so
Now,
different. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I've only worked for two major companies. The first time I was there for 12 years and I left because
Wow.
they closed the company. They dissolved it. And then I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to go to another job, and there's no way I'm going to be there more than 12 years. I ended up being there 19 years. But
Wow.
I think my journey within this last company, I was promoted 5 or 6 times throughout my tenure there. So there is definitely opportunity. And one of the things that I want to make sure that women know is that you actively have to work on your career. When you kind of sit back and let your career on autopilot, that's when you feel stuck. That's when nothing is happening. So we as women take care of everybody else, and then
And
we're
we're
the
the last one.
last people that that we take care of. But we have to be very intentional and take care of our careers, because there's a statistic. A psychologist by the name of Robin F. Goodman discovered that girls' confidence peaks at age 9, like 9 years old, which is such a tragedy. It's just
Meaning,
so sad.
so does that mean that if it peaks at 9 and then it only declines afterwards, or it plateaus? If you keep
So
on, if you replenish your knowledge, keep yourself, stay on top of whatever that's happening, and then that's when that can. Oh, okay. Now I'm getting it. Okay. Oh, that's bad.
yeah, that is
That's bad.
bad. So yes, the confidence is just kind of there. And then further research shows that it's not until your late 20s or early 30s that you realize, okay, I'm in a job, I want to do more, I want to, advance in my career. That's when you pick back up working on your confidence more intentionally, because you want those opportunities. And interestingly enough, I talk to so many women that do feel that they're stuck in
Mm.
their careers. And throughout my career, I discovered that how I got unstuck, and I'll explain to you how I kept myself stuck. The way I got unstuck is by actually working on my career, by creating what I call a custom career roadmap. But at 40 years old, I was a high performer, and I was literally sitting at my desk and I'm thinking, okay, any day now, somebody's going to notice my hard work. And Nicolette, nobody ever came and noticed my hard work. It wasn't until I actually went to talk to somebody and said, hey, you know what? I'm interested in moving into a management position. And then the response that I got was, really? And I'm like, yeah, really? What do you mean, really? And they're like, well, you
I'm
never said
waiting.
anything. And to their point, they said, you never said anything. And I'm like,
Oh.
oh my gosh, how could I have never said anything? And that moment
Oh, yeah.
changed my life. And that's why I'm
Mm.
doing the work that I'm doing today, because especially younger women, that's when I am a high performance coach, and I love helping younger women. Now, I could help women that are in the executive niche already, but that's not my passion. There's plenty of coaches that help executive women. My specialty, my passion lies in helping those younger women that are stuck and they don't know why. And I can pretty much guarantee you that they're stuck because they're not actively and intentionally working on their careers. And what's interesting is that, like me, I was holding myself back by not asking for what I wanted, by not feeling confident enough that I deserve that next opportunity. And we have to understand what we want before we can explain it to somebody else. But once I went and I said something, the next time that I went to apply for my executive vice president position, I did it completely different. I started campaigning for myself. I started
Ooh,
talking to anybody and everybody that would listen. I asked people, hey, how did you make it to your executive position? What did you
right.
do? Who did you speak to? And I started gathering and compiling all kinds of techniques and processes that people need to do in order to become career ready, meaning that when that next opportunity comes your way, you are ready and you are going to more than likely going to be the best candidate because you've been working on your career intentionally, and that brings confidence. So by you working on your career intentionally, you become more confident, and that's when things finally start happening. And you have to believe that you are worthy and deserving of that opportunity before anybody else believes it, right? So
That's
that's a
true.
little bit about me.
Wow. I mean, the questions that I'm going to ask are actually a little bit of all those things that you said, but let's dive deep into each one of them. So, okay, you just said this one earlier, but why is it important to have a career roadmap? And how would it differ between a man and a woman?
Well, okay. So men automatically, just by being men, by being white, we know that they have already more opportunities than women, right? And it's so funny because my husband and I have this conversation. He's a Lithuanian. He was born and raised in the south side of Chicago, and he's like, I grew up with nothing. How can you say that I had advantages? I'm like, from the second you were born a white male, you automatically had advantages. And so, he's
Yeah.
like, I need to debate that. I'm like, I can show you the statistics. It shows how many white males have opportunities in C-suite positions or executive positions versus white females. How many black males versus black females? I mean, the data is all there, but
Yeah.
I digress. So the the men a lot of times will give each other those opportunities at sporting events or on the golf course or in the back office, where women don't always have those same conversations. I think men are better at helping each other, supporting each other. And there's this interesting quote by the former United States Secretary of State. She's now passed away, but her name is Madeleine Albright. And her quote, and it cracks me up every time, she says, there's a special place in hell for women that don't support other women.
Women.
Because
I
there's a
agree.
lot of that competition, and we need to become more collaborative. So the
Yeah.
way women can work on their career is by that career roadmap. And some of the things that are in the career roadmap is like creating a story vault. So, and what that is you answer maybe 25 to 30 behavioral interview questions. You select the top 5 to 7 accomplishments, and you turn them into a story. So with the problem, you outline the problem, you outline the consequence of that problem and how you helped. And those 5 to 7 stories become your story vault, and that's what you take to an interview. That's what you take to a conversation. So that's one of the ways that you can start building your custom career roadmap. Another thing would be to take some time and reflect on, are you in the right job? Are you in the job that lights you up, that allows you to feel like you're contributing to the world, that you
Mm,
actually make a difference? That kind of goes along
mm,
with your core values. Are your core values in line with the company's core values? That's another thing. You want to make sure that you're working with a company that you feel aligns with your core values. So I'll pause there because I know I've said a lot, but it is very important for, number one, women to support other women. And then the second thing is for women to intentionally work on those different pieces to the puzzle to gain that confidence to continue to advance.
Woo. Okay. Thank you for that. What are the blind spots that people overlook in their career?
Okay, so I'm going to share this statistic up. I'm sure a lot of your audience have heard this already, but this statistic that I'm going to share with you changed my life. And every time that I go and I do a talk or a presentation, there's always only a handful of participants that know of this. And so Hewlett Packard did a research project many years ago, and they discovered that from their own staff, men would apply for job openings having 50% of the skills. And so you're laughing, so I'm sure you've heard of it, but women apply till, do you know the statistic?
I don't know, but somewhere around the lines of 90 or 200%
100%.
even. Yeah.
100% of the skills. And actually what you just said is also impactful, because the 200% could be a woman that continues to get certification after certification or degree after degree because they want to continue to prove themselves, but that's not what they need to be doing. What they need to be doing is applying for that job, because when you wait to apply for a job till you have 100% of the skills, two things happen. The first one is the job is long gone by the time you have all those skills. And then the second thing is you're overqualified, and nobody's going to hire you when you're overqualified. So one of the blind spots is not feeling that you're deserving and worthy, and you're looking at the job description and you're thinking, oh my goodness, there's no way I could do that job because I don't have 3 of the 10 job characteristic descriptors. And so you just don't apply. And the blind spot is that you're discounting yourself. So I always tell my clients and my audience, if you're interested in the job, even remotely, if you have half of the skills or even 30% of the skills, apply for the job anyway, because you never know if you might be the most qualified candidate. And let someone else make the decision. Don't decide for yourself that you are not going to take the job. I think most people know that they have to have at least 2/3 of the job descriptors to apply for that position. But the biggest thing is, if you're interested in a job, apply for it anyway. It's not going to hurt anything.
Yeah, and I think with us, with women, it's the same for men as well, but generally we fear rejection, because it's, again, if already you're discounting yourself for not applying for the job, you still applied anyway, but in the back of your head you said, I'm not gonna make it. And then true enough, you're like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
Right? It's a
Yes.
projection, like, okay, I know I don't have maybe 2 out of the 10 characteristics they're looking for, but I'm still gonna apply anyway. But I believe it's like I've defeated myself by not believing. So I think that's what I've been trying, and I also struggle with that more before, but now I've learned to be more aware when I catch it. I try to catch myself and I think of it that way. So, and also the reason why I started my podcast, it's about self-worth. It's about imposter syndrome. It's about all these things that, as a millennial,
yes,
I do. Yeah, I mean, every generation has its own challenges, and I wouldn't say that we had it good. And I think the Gen Zers also, they have issues of their own as well. So, yeah, I love the conversations like this. And I think what you do, and what I think, yeah, I hope my podcast will help people as well in the same sense. And I know you have a podcast too.
I do. So my podcast and my business are called No Woman Left Behind, because I wholeheartedly believe that we have to support each other. And,
Yes.
so I went to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, and in the quad, there's a beautiful statue of a woman with her arms kind of wide open, and there's a placard on the alma mater, and it says, "To thy happy children of the future, those of the past send greetings." And
Oh,
that resonates with me so
yeah.
much because I know I'm not going to be famous. I don't want to be famous, but I do want to help. And I know
Mm.
that I want to help support women. That's my passion. And even I'll go further, younger women that are feeling like they're stuck in their careers and they don't know what to do or how to get to that next level. So once you know the type of job that you're interested in, then I can help those women advance up the corporate ladder. There's also women that come to me. As a matter of fact, yesterday, a woman came to me and we had a strategy call, and she's like, I don't know what I want to do. I want to, maybe be in legal, maybe in HR. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not your person because I don't specialize in career transitions, but I have a career transition coach. So I referred her to one of my friends. But I know what I'm good at. I know what my specialty is, and I don't feel like there's that competition with other career coaches. We are here to collectively push, and you included. We're all women. I feel that this is an amazing time in history for us to be living because we are helping push collectively. And actually, I was going to tell you, I think your prior guest, Rachel Levine or Rachel Lavin,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
was awesome because she talked
Oh,
about, and she does not use body positivity. So I did learn that. But she also talked about taking care of our younger girls and helping
mm.
them be confident. And I thought I loved that because that was so empowering. And if there's any parents that are listening out there, and if you have young girls, it is so critical for you to listen to Mindset by Carol Dweck, because
Oh, okay.
I know
Yeah.
you talk
Yeah.
about, mindset, but that book literally gives you the formula on how to talk to your daughters so that
Mm.
they're not, so that they don't equate their physicality with their
As their
worth.
worth.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, and obviously the work that you're doing, and I love the name of your podcast. When I first saw it, You're Worthless, I'm like, what do you mean you're worthless? Like, what is going on here? But I
And you're
read,
getting that reaction from my guest.
yes, yes, I loved it. And to your point, we have to work on ourselves to upskill our worth. And that's why one of my principles in the presentations that I talk about is you are deserving and worthy. But you have to believe that. You have to embody that. And
Mm.
it goes along with your mindset, being proud of your body just as it is, like Rachel said, and then being intentional in your career. It kind of all works together.
Oh, you said it beautifully, Rosie. Thank you. Okay, you said this as well. What is the promotion readiness checklist? I think
The
you said
promote
it, but can we go through well one by one? And how would it help a woman in corporate?
Yeah, so the promotion readiness checklist is a checklist that I have on my website. My website is No Woman Left Behind, and it's
No.
right on my homepage. And it's a checklist of like 10 questions, and it's yes, no questions. It'll take you like maybe 3 to 5 minutes to even answer it, if that. But those are the pieces to the puzzle that you need to work on in order to understand how ready you are when that next opportunity shows up. So how ready are you to be promoted? So it will go through things like, do you know your big why? Do you know your core values? Obviously, is your resume ready? because if you're looking for a position and your resume is not ready, then you're already behind the eight ball. Do you have a story vault, which I talked about earlier, where you answer all those questions and you come up with, 5 to 7 stories? So it's a series of questions such as those that will give you an idea, and it'll give you a score. So if you're like 0 to 4, you definitely need help. If you're like 5 to 7, you're doing an okay job. And if you're 7 and higher, then keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. It's just a matter of time. But in any of those situations, I invite people to have a strategy call with me, because I'll spend an hour with them and give them ideas. We'll go through that promotion readiness checklist, and then I will tell them these are the things that you need to focus on. One of them is getting advice. And what I mean by that is, do you talk to senior leaders in the organization and ask them, hey, what is it that you do? What made you successful? Because I think this is one of the things that you asked Rachel as well is, okay, well, if you don't know what to do you just kind of like figure it out on your own, or do you seek help? Well, you seek help. You go, you listen to podcasts, you read books, you talk to people, and for every one person that you talk to, you will get one little golden nugget of advice that you're going to be able to incorporate into your day to day, and you're going to know what you need to develop. Another one is I am a certified Colby consultant, and it's an assessment such as Strengths Finder or the DISC, or one of those many assessments. And
Right.
this assessment talks about how you instinctively use your skills. So you could be a person that is really good with facts and spreadsheets, and that's your specialty. But they have you in a marketing position where you have to come up with big ideas and things like that. So those two do not correlate.
Right. Yeah.
But if you don't know what your skills are, again, similar to the Gallup Strengths Finder, then you might be in the wrong position. So those are all different pieces of the puzzle that are part of that promotion readiness checklist, and it will give you a good idea as to where you are in your career journey.
Oh my God, Rosie, I think a light bulb just click inside my head. You just said something, that golden little nugget, because right now I'm in a company where it's how do I think, okay, a bit of context. The last 2 years, it's a very operational base team, but when they hired me, because I came from a consulting background, so of course operations and consulting, they don't really go hand in hand. So but they hired me anyway, which I'm very, very grateful. So when they hired, there was a lot of realigning as to what I should do, because most of the people, the management in that team, they were very much, like I said, operational, and that wasn't my biggest strength, and I had to find my footing, I think, the last years. And to be honest, they tried putting me in projects which I wanted to execute based on what I feel that it should go. But again, in any organization, change is the most difficult thing to be implemented. Therefore, coming from consulting background and going into the commercial side, reality hit me hard. So it's like consultant, fine. You get your fee from your client, and then clients see if they're gonna implement it. No matter how good your strategy is, if they don't, maybe it gets bought the first stage, and then the implementation second stage, it died down. So I learned it the hard way. But where I'm coming from is that, thankfully enough, I think one of my bosses, they sort of recognized where I stand. It's like, I'm good in communicating, I'm good in collaborating with people. Therefore, they said, okay, maybe because it's a new shared service center, let's put you in the culture shaping role. right? Of course, it's not literally just culture 100%. Some will be operations to make you so that you're still in touch, but then you do this culture. This would be your main focus. So I was like, maybe I should position myself as there's no chief culture officer yet. Why don't I elect that? I mean, it could be that I tell it to them, but maybe I keep it. I believe that I embody that first, and then start doing things, or yeah, just to that showcase that, and then slowly come up to them. This is your chief culture officer talking. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking outside of the box right now. It's like this is me thinking out loud, but okay, maybe I'll position myself as that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think that would be fantastic. And that's one of the pieces of believing that you're deserving and worthy, right? Again, to the name of your show, but believing that you can actually do what you dream of is just so important.
Thank you, Rosie. I just had yeah, I'm gonna write that on my vision board so that when I wake up, I was like chief culture officer. Yeah, nobody's
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Wow.
good.
Thank you, Rosie. Okay, so I want to go back to your 30-year career journey. So I mean, loyalty is definitely there for you. But I want to hear your thoughts about people, younger, male, female, that actually jump because of progression, right? Next, they want to go for higher increment, better job position. What are your thoughts on that?
100% support it. I
Okay.
do feel that had I been more
Aggressive.
deserving,
Oh,
not
okay.
aggressive, more deserving and worthy, if I had embodied that at a younger age. Now, granted, I had a little bit of a 4-year kind of pause in my career because I went through a really bad divorce, and so kind of life derailed me
Okay.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
Don't worry.
But
Yeah, me too. 2 years.
yeah,
One of the impetus for the podcast as well.
yes,
The last four
exactly.
years.
And so I kind of, when I looked at my career, and again at 40, I still wasn't a manager. I'm like, okay, what is going on here? But it was me holding myself back. And that's another thing that I talk about all the time. Women hold themselves back by staying comfortable and staying in a career or in a job longer than they should, whether it's a job within the same company or a different company. But we're staying in jobs longer than we should because we're comfortable, because we don't want to start over again. And that's a fallacy, because there's plenty of people that restart careers after being, in a company 10, 15 years, and they're perfectly happy. So the fact that people are seeking better opportunities, and a lot of it is that they're not happy with the development of themselves within the company. A lot of companies are so busy, they're so reactive instead of being proactive and really taking care of their employees by allowing personal developing, allowing that time to be creative. We're so
Ooh.
in the trenches, and companies are doing themselves a disservice by not giving women leadership courses to women so that they understand how to position themselves as the company that people want to go work at. And
Mm.
so if the company is not providing you what you need for your personal needs, then it's perfectly okay to leave that company and go to another company that will, because there are plenty of corporations, both big and small, that do want to do right by their people. They want to take care of their employees. And the biggest thing, I think, is companies are now starting to embrace the human being, not just the employee. It's because people come to work with their problems and their situations and whatever, and you can't expect them to come into work and just be like,
To
okay,
leave that
8 to 5.
baggage.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So there has to be a sense of empathy from the company and say, you know what, we'll support you, we'll help you. We have HR, we have employee resource groups, we have, whatever the therapy that they offer, within the organization, things like that. But to answer your question, if someone is looking to continue to advance in their career, they should be going to and looking for that next opportunity every 3 to 5 years. At 3 years, you kind of start wondering, you start looking, you start taking action, and within that next couple of years, something should be happening. As long as you're taking action, something will happen as a result of that action that you're taking.
Wow. And I just want to say also to you, thank you for being candid with your story, because you were being very transparent that at age 40 you weren't at a management role yet. To see from that time to now that you have your own coaching program. I have friends, colleagues who are maybe almost reaching that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm putting words into their mouth, but what I can see is that they're just they're just grinding, and I think they're waiting for that promotion as well, because I think in most organization, commercial especially, instead of consulting, somebody has to leave that position vacant first before somebody can go up. It's different
Mm-hmm.
with consulting. You, as long as you reach your performance evaluation, you go up the rank, and that's why it's coming from that background. I To be honest, if I had stayed in that industry, I would have been maybe a senior, close to being a director now. But right now, I am still at a managerial level, and to be honest, I enjoy, because the reason why I left is because of the long hours as well, burnout. But I am more fulfilled at this point. And like you said, coming back to what you said, the company, if the company does give you that leeway or space for you to be creative, I think it's all the more reason one will stay and continue to serve, and therefore show their loyalty, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah, because
And
yeah, sorry, you
And
were
I was
saying.
just going to say, by the way, if companies take care of their employees, kind of like you just said, that you're fulfilled and you're happy where you are right now, the company's productivity goes up 14% just by
Hmm.
having their employees be happy and fulfilled in the careers that they're doing. It's when the careers are, or when the individuals are not engaged and they're bored and their days are long and they're, that old term quiet quitting, all that stuff. It's like there's something wrong. If you are not engaged in your work, that in the work that you're doing right now, something is wrong. Whether it's you, that you're not really trying, that you're not seeking other opportunities, that you're not talking to your manager saying, hey, this isn't working for me. You shouldn't be working 8 or 10 hours a day in a job that you hate, or in a job that you're just barely making it through the day, or Monday or Sunday comes around and you have the Monday blues because
Dreaded.
you don't want to go to work the next day. So life can be so much better, and it's so much bigger, and life has so much to offer. But you have to go out and grab it, right? You have to go out and seek that opportunity and work on yourself and develop your skills. And I'm not saying that this is easy. I'm not saying that it's going to happen overnight. It's a process, it's a journey, but that's what you get to do. You get to enjoy the journey, and you get to discover what you like and what you want to do, and what career, what are the possibilities. And that's what I love talking to people about, because there's so many things that people can do to create that custom career roadmap. And I call it custom because it's custom for each individual, right? It's like you have to be able to have a plan. I work on this activity. I call it the clarity chart. And it's 9 questions in nine words in 3 different categories that we go through. And at the end of the conversation with my clients, I say, okay, so these 9 words are now your guiding light. It's your North Star. And so these 9 words are the 9 words that you go to, and it's how you want your best self to be. And when you have a problem, a situation, you're wrestling with something, you go back to those 9 words and you think of these 9 words represent my best self. And that's what you use as your guiding light, as your North Star. But you have to, it's a self-discovery process. So,
Ooh.
so yeah, I'll pause there. I know
I
I've said a
love that.
lot.
I love that. Wow. Yes, yes. I mean, I echo that 1000. It's everything that I stand for, and
Mhm.
it's, yeah. It's taking a few seconds here to make sure I'm internalizing everything. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you. Okay, so let's pivot to a self-worth question, like I always do with all my guests. Question for you is, in your opinion, what is self-worth and how does it differ from self-esteem?
I think there's an internal and an external.
Mm.
I think we confuse self-worth and self-esteem. So self-esteem, I think, is more internal, where you need to believe in yourself. And the self-worth, we almost equate it with external,
Achievements,
yes,
accomplishments,
yes,
accolades.
external achievement. So, but whether it's self-esteem or self-worth, and again, I'm going to go back to, you must believe in yourself. You must believe that you are deserving and worthy of all the good that's coming into your life, into your world. So self-worth is trusting yourself, knowing that not all the thoughts in your head are true, because
Mm.
we
Yeah.
as human beings, especially women, we're so mean to ourselves, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
so all the negative talk, you need to be able to separate what's real and what's just chatter in your head. And when you're doing all that, you start understanding and acquiring higher and higher self-worth so that you love yourself unconditionally. That's what I think self-worth is. Loving yourself unconditionally.
Beautiful. And if somebody doesn't do that, just cut them off.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. What is your heart's greatest wish, Rosie?
My heart's greatest wish is that all people on earth would have the same opportunities,
Cool.
because we talked about, the difference between men and women, white and
That is
black,
so
and,
good.
but
Powerful.
gosh, if we could just all be on the same level, and if we could just all have the same opportunities that everybody deserves, our world would be an incredible place to live.
I felt that. Thank you. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
No woman left behind. That's my mantra. I believe in women supporting women. I believe in elevating women. I believe in encouraging women and helping them understand and realize that, again, they are deserving and worthy. So no woman left behind.
Do you have anything that keeps you up at night? Or do you sleep well?
I'm a pretty good sleeper. I go to sleep pretty quickly. Like my head hits the pillow and I'm pretty much out. But I do worry about, the state of the world. However, I don't listen to the news
Me too.
intentionally,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
all negative. And, people might say, well, that's irresponsible, you're not informed. But 99% of the news that I hear is all negative. And I will I'll get my news from my husband or my sisters or my family, whatever. But I really do believe that I protect my spirit and my soul so that
Yeah.
I'm not bombarded with so much toxicity. So
Mm,
I also do a lot of meditation, a lot of personal
lovely.
growth, personal development. I'm trying to get my mindset in a good place. So I make sure that I have my morning routine, my evening routine at night. And I haven't always done this, but I'm really trying to focus on reading a physical book instead of being on my phone so that my brain can kind of turn off and detach from the electronic leash that we have nowadays. But yeah, I sleep pretty well.
What's your morning routine and night routine
So
like?
morning routine, I usually wake up around 5:30, and I do my meditation in bed because that's my state where I'm still kind of, in and
Like,
out.
yeah.
So yeah, I do my meditation. I do always 30 minutes of movement, whether it's, the TRX or stretching or Pilates, some kind of movement. I
Wow.
always do my bulletproof coffee, and I, I sit in my beautiful, comfortable yellow chair, and I do some journaling and I do some gratitude. And
Wow.
then I get ready for the day. And I try not to, during that whole time, I try not to look at my
Look at your
email or
phone.
social media or anything. I mean, I look at my email because I do the workout on my phone. I'm sorry, I look at my phone because I do the workout on my phone. But I don't check email anymore. I don't check social media. I turned off all, I should say 95% of any notifications. I get no notifications on my phone. I'm trying to be very protective of my mindset first thing in the morning. And then at
Yeah.
night around 9 o'clock, I just, I go upstairs and I start getting ready for bed. I get in bed, and reading is kind of my winding down activity. And yeah, so that's my morning and my evening routine.
Wow. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hours. And you've maintained this lifestyle for so many years already.
I have. I mean, I haven't always done the journal, like the journaling, for example, kind of fell off the wayside in the fall because I had COVID and I was sick and
Oh,
we had a
sorry to
bunch
hear
of
that.
stuff going on. But, I really value the journaling because it's very healing and soothing, and you get all the chatter in your head out and onto paper, and it's very, yeah, healing. That's the best word.
One thing I noticed with every guest that I speak, especially when they're coaches, they have to have a morning routine that they stick by and night routine. And it's proven, like, because you need to teach people something, you yourself will have to have that kind of routine and structure. And again, yeah, I just started my morning routine. I incorporated at least 20 minutes of yoga. So I did that in 2022, but I kind of fell off 2023. So now I'm back at it again.
Yeah,
Also,
I love
one thing,
yoga.
being kind to myself, not beating myself just because I miss it for a year, right? Because I have that tendency to, why
Absolutely.
didn't you? You know it's good,
Yes.
but yeah.
Yep.
Again, women,
Yes.
or I don't know, is it people in general or just women? We're just so hard on ourselves.
I think women are definitely harder on ourselves, but men also have insecurities and fears and things like that
Yeah.
as well. So yeah.
That's gonna be another episode for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question, Rosie. I think you're gonna say the same quote, but let's see. If you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
Support and empower women that are younger than yourself. That would be my quote, because we need to help those younger women coming up behind us, those younger girls, family members, neighbors. So we really need to support and empower those younger women coming up behind us.
Thank you so much. I think that wraps up our interview beautifully. I love the work that you do, Rosie. And I haven't listened to your podcast. I just found out about it today, but I will be. And if there are people who want to be connected to you, what do they need to do? Do they go
The
to your website?
easiest, yeah, the easiest thing for them to do is to go to my website, which is nowomanleftbehind.com. And that's WOMAN, No Woman Left Behind.
Right. And I don't know if I ask you, which part of the US are you in?
I'm in Chicago.
Chicago. Okay, okay. Because you graduated, so you stayed there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Rosie, for your time. I enjoyed our conversation. It felt like I had I prepared like, I mean, the questions that I had was like kind of just touching the surface, and I think there's so much to it. And maybe in the near future, I'll call you up for another episode, perhaps.
Absolutely. I would love to. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Nicolette. I think this is a great conversation, and we need to continue to have these kinds of conversations for women so that, again, no woman is left behind.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no matter. I mean, we're not touching the deep end, but at least we're starting, right? And continue. Snowball effect. Thank you
Exactly.
so much, Rosie, for your time. I appreciate you, and let's stay in touch.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye bye.